Okay, Leo, we can go ahead and get started now.
That's great. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening. As you know, this virtual town hall was set up rather quickly because of the necessity of having a forum to talk about what has happened. So let me formally introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. I'm Lael Rubin, and I'm chair of the Civilian Oversight Commission of the Sheriff. Before we officially get started, I ask Commissioner Patty Giggins to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Patty?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
United States.
Of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all.
So, as I said, I'm the chair of the Civilian Oversight Commission, and we believe very strongly that one of the critical functions of this commission is that we serve as a place for public thought. It's crucial that we hear from you, and that's why we immediately scheduled this meeting to hear from you. We are all here tonight because of the recent killing of 29-year-old Deshaun Kizzy. After each of these horrific deaths, I hear from so many people, my thoughts and prayers are with you. Well, I'm tired of thoughts and prayers. I want action, and the Civilian Oversight Commission wants action. We were established in 2016 to increase the accountability and the transparency of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. We were formed because of community action and the Board of Supervisors who had the vision to create this body. We have several commissioners here this evening, and we also have Max Huntsman, who's the Inspector General. So at this point, I would like to introduce each of the commissioners, Patty Giggins, Priscilla Ochen, and Casimiro Tolentino. And if each of you want to say a few words before we get started, the floor is yours. Patty, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Lyle. Yes, I would. I would like to communicate that I'm here to bear witness. Like many of you, we have borne witness before, and it's triggering, it's intolerable, it's frustrating, it's sad, and my heart goes out to the family and to all the families who have suffered, because no matter what the reasons are, no matter what the causes are, the families suffer. And so I just pledge to you my attention, my thoughts and prayers, of course, but also my commitment to making sure that our COC Oversight Commission continues to try to function to the best capacity that we can to make the changes that are necessary.
Thank you, Patty. Priscilla?
Yeah, so I think from my count, this is the third or fourth town hall that we've had after a questionable shooting, a killing by sheriff's deputies. By my count, there have been, 10 or so cases where the sheriff's deputies have killed someone. There has been no real public investigation, and there's been no accountability. And on each of those occasions, I grow more and more frustrated. I grow more and more frustrated with the commission's inability to hold the sheriff's department accountable, especially when we know that there are gangs that are operating within the sheriff's department that incentivize brutality. When there are allegations that people have been killed as a result of the activities of these sheriff's gangs, I grow frustrated that that we haven't stepped in to shift resources away from the sheriff's department so that we minimize contact between the public and the sheriff's department, so that we reduce the likelihood of these kinds of killings taking place. And mostly, I'm just sick and tired. I think every time we're on these calls, especially as a Black person in this country, of waking up to new headlines of another Black person who is being targeted or killed by law enforcement, and it happens all too often here in LA County. And I think we finally have to have the moral courage and the political will to say enough is enough. And so I'm here to stand in solidarity with folks who care about this, folks who are affected, and I send my condolences out to the family. I just hope that we no longer have to have these town halls sometime soon. And I hope that we create the kinds of structural changes that will enable that to happen.
Thank you, Priscilla. And Kaz, you want to go ahead, please?
I share the concerns of Commissioner Ocean. I am so concerned and disturbed by the racial disparity in all these shootings and the focuses on the Black and brown communities. Are policies or protocols being followed? What about the training of these deputies when they go into these communities? And just the statistical disparity is just really bothersome. Are these shootings targeting the community, and are they deliberate? As Commissioner Osen said, there are allegations of gangs in the sheriff's department. There are allegations that, and I know they're just allegations that in order to become part of some of these deputy gangs, certain things have to be done. And it seems like some of these things it's just harmful to our communities. And I know I can't feel the same way as a Black member of this community, but as an immigrant and a person of color, I share these kinds of fears in our community. It makes it as Sheriff Villanueva has always said, it's the trust in that community that's paramount in order for law enforcement to be successful. And all these events and shootings just does not support that kind of direction or value. I'm hoping we don't have any more of these town halls focusing on shootings, but I think it's important that we do one today, because it just seems like we need to give at least a sense of urgency of our concerns as a commission, and hopefully action by our commission rather than just words.
Thank you very much. I do want to introduce, for those of you who don't know, our Inspector General, Max Huntsman, who is here, and of course, our fearless leader, our Executive Director, Brian Williams. So at this point, it's so hard to know where to begin. We're so challenged with what has occurred across the country and the world in the past few months. But I think the greater challenge is finally, for once and for all, addressing the systemic racial issues that have affected our country, affected our community. We do have a special guest here this evening. And I'd like to ask Pastor Norman Johnson to address the floor, the community. Briefly, I want to thank him for being here this evening. Pastor Norman Johnson has been the lead pastor of the First New Christian Fellowship Baptist Church since 1988 and is an active leader in the community. Once again, thank you, Pastor Johnson, for participating and joining us again on this short notice. So hopefully you have been able to log on, and the floor is yours. You have a few words.
Well, I appreciate. I have not been able to log on, so I am strictly audio with you, and but that's okay. And I appreciate the opportunity to be a part of this conversation, and it is a very important conversation. The crises of black males, blacks in general, and black males in particular, not discounting the Breonna Taylor shooting. That crisis has come to Westmont, and the community, first of all, needs to share its condolences to the family of Jean Kazee in what amounts to an execution that took place on our streets. Now, it's not my general approach to make a statement in the absence of detailed information. I thought about it earlier today that I do not want the details to get in the way of a fact that this young man was killed, in my judgment, execution style, on the streets, and whether it was 8 shots, 12 shots, 20 shots, he was executed. And for what reason? What purpose? What is behind this? Except the devaluing of Black life. And we see it throughout this nation. We see it at the highest levels of government. We see it with respect to healthcare disparities. We see it in light of COVID-19, where African Americans, Black folk are disproportionately affected, dying, and it has to do with what is a pre-existing condition for us. We're Black. The community ought to grieve, ought to express condolences and grieve, but we ought to be upset. We ought to be angry that a male on a bicycle, I'm trying to figure out what violation can you commit on a bicycle? A vehicle, front of red light, stop sign, illegal turn, U-turn, whatever. But a bicycle? And this leads to a chase, a foot chase. And if I read the LA Times article correctly this morning, the young man stopped and asked a woman to give him a ride. They're coming to get me. Get me out of here. And he dies on the street, and in what is the ultimate insult, after his body is riddled with bullets, they handcuff him. There ought to be rage. His death is a part of a pattern, a string of deaths. Did not start with George Floyd, but we saw it. And most recently, Jacob Blake, fortunately, has not died. He's paralyzed and seems to be recuperating to a degree, but shot 7 times in the back. Then, as I said, it's at the highest level. It's in our Attorney General, who says that we do not have two systems. This is not an issue of racism. Yes, it is. The Attorney General and saying, no, we're going to investigate this. We're going to leverage the power of the Attorney General's office to get at this. He's in denial. And this is the last thing that I'm going to say. To hear the president on Fox News say that the police, law enforcement, shooting victims, black victims, so many times. The metaphor he used was that it's like a golfer choking and missing a putt. The trivialization of black life at this point ought to be something that angers us all, but also puts us on caution that none of us are safe. Our sons are not safe. Our daughters are not safe. And these are the people that we entrust with the responsibility of keeping us safe. Very sad moment, tragic moment, but it highlights the depth of the racism and structural racism that is present in our society at this point. And there are no easy answers. We've got a long road ahead of us, but it's a walk that we've got to make. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your strength, your inspiration, and I hope you'll be able to stay with us for a while. We're going to take public comment in a few minutes, and if there's something that somebody says, particularly during public comment, that you'd like to address, please feel free to do so. So again, thank you very much, Pastor Johnson, for your words and your strength and your caring about the community. So now I go to the housekeeping matters that if you provide.
Lyle, could I say something if you don't mind? May I?
Go ahead. Sure, because we have a lot of.
Exactly. I would just like to appreciate the words of Pastor Norman Johnson. They are like a prayer. They are like a lament. They are a call to action. And I am hoping that all the white people who are listening, who want to be allies, become accomplices, for us to really, really dissect what is going on and to commit to making the changes that need to happen so that these killings, these assassinations do not continue. I just feel like I wanted to appreciate his words. They are so meaningful, they are concise, and they are speaking truth to all the powers that are out there. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you very much. So let me just go ahead and give you the housekeeping issues about how the public gets to speak. If you want to provide live public comment, you must access the meeting using the online option. If you're calling in, we will not be able to hear you. However, you can email your comments to cocnotify at coc.lacounty.gov, and we'll make those comments part of the record. Generally, we don't time comments at our town hall meetings. However, because of this format, the limited amount of time we have tonight and the number of community members who signed up, we have to really limit this to 2 minutes a person. I know that's probably too short, but we want the opportunity for every member who signed up to speak. So when it is your turn to speak, one of our staff members will unmute your line. As you give your comments, please be sure to limit the background noise so that we can all clearly hear from you. I'd like to hear from you, the community. I'll ask the staff to begin calling the names, and just a reminder, each person will have 2 minutes. Thank you. Jennifer?
Thank you. And just as a reminder, go ahead and raise your hand in the participant window. If you're unable to find out how to do that, please send a chat to the host. And here is an announcement in Spanish before we get started.
Si necesita traducción en español, por favor diga la palabra español al principio de sus comentarios y alguien traducirá sus comentarios cuando termine.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And our first public comment will come Jimmy Daniel. You have 2 minutes. Please go ahead. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, Fonda. Yes, my question is, has the captain reached out to the family regarding the shooting? I know in the last shooting before that happened in Westmont, Captain Tardy went and talked to the family. The family went to the station. They have to show concern. I do not know all of the details of what happened in the shooting. I've heard different stories. One was they never came with the reason why he was stopped. And I don't know whether he had a gun or a telephone. But all of those things have been floating around in the neighborhood. So I'm just saying that in order for this community to gain trust or to regain trust in our sheriff department, they have to be more open to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, that is a perfectly good question that we need to explore with the sheriff's department. As all of you can see, unfortunately, there is no member of the sheriff's department present this evening. We reached out to them and invited them to send somebody, but as you can see, they have not. So we don't have an answer to that. I would hope that somebody from the sheriff's department did reach out to the family, but that's something we're going to have to look into. So thank you, Mr. Daniel, very much for that.
And can I just ask, sorry, before we move to the next speaker, if Inspector General Huntsman can talk a bit about these investigations and what role he plays in them, if any?
Lael, you're muted. Lael, you're muted.
I think that's a good idea, but perhaps we could do that after we hear from a number of members of the community. So if you wouldn't mind holding on, Max, I think your role in all of this in terms of what kind of investigation you do, whether you were at the scene, had somebody at the scene, et cetera. But so if you don't mind holding on for a minute, thank you.
Okay, and our next public comment will come from Julie Martinez. Please go ahead. Julie, you are unmuted now. Please go ahead with your comment. We can hear you now.
Okay, this is a historical time. Where is our leadership in California? As we all witnessed, most of the bills that dealt with policing fell through the cracks. Even though there was enough votes, we have to ask what happened. Why were not these laws enacted? It was because of the police lobbies, the powerful police lobbies, including the sheriff lobby, ALAD. Can we imagine this? Our policy over protecting and serve our communities is run and controlled by the very police who are killing and shooting our communities. I have to ask, what will COC do? Thank you for holding town halls to let us voice our concerns. Problem is, we get 1 to 2 minutes. My grandson was killed. He stood a little over 5 feet tall and was murdered by the sheriff department. For months, we told the sheriff and we asked for information on the suspected deputy who was part of a gang in East LA. We were given no information. We were told from Villanueva that no such information was compiled. Now we're at the juncture where Villanueva now admits that there are gangs and finally admitted it. For the COC, can you please examine what you are doing? I do appreciate that the last meeting you did pass a resolution. However, in your language, you called these gang members cliques, like a fraternity. These are not cliques. They utilize these particular shootings, harassment, and yes, unfortunately, murders as key markers for them to be in these particular gangs. You need to examine that. You need to look at the sheriff department gangs as what they are, criminal syndicates operating under the color of authority, and worse yet, they're wearing a badge and they're not protecting us in our community. Please give us more time in the future.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Thea Golden. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hi, thank you for listening. The killing of Dijon Kizi was heartbreaking and infuriating and should not go unpunished. Where was the attempt at de-escalation? That's what I want to know. And why are officers not being trained vigorously in de-escalation and crisis response so that their first reaction is not to shoot and kill Black and brown men? Now, more than ever, non-lethal, community-based alternative models to policing are essential. And it's not happening fast enough, if you ask me, and ask a lot of people. And we continue to see the needless killing of Black and brown men in our community by the sheriffs, and this has to stop. Thank you. I appreciate you all listening.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Alejandro the Lalala. Please go ahead with your comment. Villapalado, please go ahead.
Oh, it's Villalpando. Hi, my name is Alejandro Villalpando. I'm a member of the community where Dijon Kizi was shot and killed, right? This is within the last 2 years. This is the third shooting that I know of by the sheriff's department within a 2-block range in the same community. And one of the things that the pastor spoke about is the death and the violence and the dehumanization of Black life and brown life out in this community. I would add, I heard the helicopters. I walked my dog out here. I heard the commotion, and I was walking by one of my neighbors who happens to be an older African-American man. And I asked, did you hear anything? Did you see anything? Was it them or was it one of us? And the fact that I have to default to that question is a problem in my community. The fact that when I see police officers stationed on Vermont doing speed enforcement, things that I worry that maybe they'll get upset at someone who they pull over and start shooting while I'm walking my dog, right? And that's a reality. And another thing that the pastor said is, what kind of vehicle violation? At 19 was the first time as an adult that I had guns pulled on me in that same community by sheriff's department. I was on a bicycle and they told me they pulled me over because I was going the wrong way on a residential street against traffic on a bicycle. This is the first time I'd ever heard that. When I saw the news of why they pulled out, why they were confronting or attempting to confront Dijon Kizzee, I remembered that. I remember the feeling at 19. And I know a lot of people say, well, why didn't you file a report? If you live here, you know that how would I know at 19 years old, right? I have a PhD now. I still live in this community. I love this community. I'm invested in this community, this particular community, but we know that this is beyond this. I just want to echo what someone else said also, that we need to build and contribute resources to alternatives to policing. The police should not exist in our community anymore because they are a force of terror. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Adrianaquinones. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good evening. My name is Adrianaquinones. I live in Hacienda Heights. I have also lived in Highland Park and Royal Heights. I grew up in a community where there was a lot of police abuse, but I also got to see that there was a lot of gangs and a lot of killings, a lot of lack of responsibility by parents. So now that I live in this community, I have made it a point to work very closely with law enforcement, and also making sure that our community takes responsibility for the actions of our youth. This problem that we're facing is not only the police fault, it's also the community's fault. It's also the elected officials' fault. The only way to make sure that this problem goes away, it's by ensuring that we have a partnership with local advisory boards, elected officials, and law enforcement. That is something that our community is doing now and is working very well. So whenever we get to hear any complaint about law enforcement, we go ahead and meet with our supervisor's office and a local representative from the sheriff's department. But also there are those out there that are causing crimes. One of my cousins was killed, and that person, not a sheriff, that person was never caught. So there's crime out there being done by brown on brown, by black on black, and we have to address those issues. We cannot sweep it under the rug anymore. Let's face it. Let's stop the gangs. Let's stop the drug selling. Let's unite and be a community. Address all the issues now. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next comment will come from Timothy Watkins. Please go ahead with your comment, Timothy.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
So I'm listening to everybody as I've been listening to national and local news for the past 5.5 months because I'm quarantined, 67 years old, in the house that I grew up in now for 66 years. And what's bothering me most is we get 2 minutes to talk about what we think, is a grave concern, and certainly it is. All of you are fine people. I can tell by the empathetic tone of your comments. But when are we going to get to the real question of sanity and the outrageously mentally ill people that we have carrying guns behind badges? When are we going to get the response of a sheriff's department or a police chief that says that mental illness is an issue, that superiority complex is a definable and diagnosable disorder, that people that have such complexes also suffer from white supremacy views and white supremacy issues? So to me, it's that we need to start talking about some form of weeding out people that aren't mentally fit to carry guns behind badges, to wear black prosecutorial robes, or the judges that wear the robes that say, you know, one guy goes to jail for the rest of his life while he lets another guy go free. To me, that's where we really deserve to get focused. Mental illness and the illness of somebody that says, I got up this morning, put on a uniform, got in my car, put my gun in my holster, and I'm afraid to do this job. And when I see a black face, I feel threatened and therefore within my right to terminate that life.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Kayla Petrie. Please go ahead with your comment. Kayla, you're unmuted now. Please go ahead with your comment. Okay, hearing nothing, I'll troubleshoot with you on the side. Kayla, we can't hear you right now. We'll move on to Tamar K. Please go ahead with your comment, Tamar.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you.
Please, before you start the clock, Paula Miner registered and she wasn't able to get on. Could you stop the clock, please? Can you start it over?
Please go ahead with your comment. I see Paula's name. I will unmute her for public comment. Please go ahead with your comment.
So first off, I want to honor Dijon Kesey. My deepest condolences and prayers to his family. I'm deeply distraught. I arrived at the scene and I didn't know all the details. I knew that this brother had been shot dead in the street by LA Sheriff's Department. And over the course of time of being there, I witnessed a few things. One in which I found out his body was in the street for 18 hours, face down and handcuffed while he was dead. I couldn't imagine why the sheriffs were there occupying the space when I arrived there. I imagined that the family would be given space to mourn and honor his life in a proper way. Instead, the police were there occupying the space, and then I found out why, because his body was still in the street. And then they were terrorizing the people there, including the family. They wouldn't answer questions. They wouldn't let them through. They had their hands on their guns. They had their hands on their tasers. They were blinding the people, us people on the other side of the line with their flashlights. They were antagonizing us. They had ambushed us at one point. They almost injured some of us. And this is why we say, you know, defund the police. We want to absolutely defund and abolish them. We want to redistribute the money in our communities for housing and healthcare. I want to know what this commission is going to do. I'm tired of talking. We want action. We want to honor this man the best way we can. Not even justice will bring him back and can take away this pain and suffering, but we absolutely need action. Defund the police and LA Sheriff's Department and fire Sheriff Villanueva.
Thank you for your comment. And next, hear from Paula Miner. Please go ahead with your comment, Paula.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yes. No, I appreciate the opportunity to speak before the commission, the COC. Today, I found out, someone sent me some statistics that said since the murder of George Floyd, that the LA Sheriff's Department has murdered at least 6 or 7 individuals, including, of course, Dijon Kesey that we're talking about this week. And I guess my plea to the commission is we need to find a way to have some accountability from our sheriff, because I believe the fact that our sheriff ignores the board of supervisors, ignores this commission, and does whatever he does, sets the tone for the officers that there is no accountability, that no one can stop them. And this is very, very serious. I guess one of the things we could do is make sure that we have independent investigating bodies for all of the sheriff's officer involved shootings, all of them. Also, perhaps the commission could demand that the length of time for investigations be shortened and be precise. We know that there are some shooting investigations that go on for over a year. We need help. This needs to stop. Sheriff Villanueva is allowing the sheriff officers to have a reign of terror that is harming and devastating our community. I'm sorry, I meant to say our community. So whatever this committee, this commission can do to make change, we need those things to happen right away. We cannot wait. This is going on and on and on. So I appreciate the COC allowing us to speak tonight, but we need action. We definitely need action. Thank you so much.
Jennifer, before you go ahead, I forgot to mention that there are other commissioners who are listening and present. Brown Act does not allow more than 4 commissioners to be actually present, visible at the town hall. There are other commissioners who are on the call listening and concerned about what happens. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Marisol Rosales. Please go ahead. Comment?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. So this is a crucial time in our society that we need action. We need accountability from the sheriff's department and just the police in general. We need to have a task force that is led by a community with the community in mind, people from the community. There's already people doing this type of work. We don't need that many police. We need to defund the police, and we need to give the power to the people. We have educated folks in our community. Somebody called in today with a PhD. I have my bachelor's in psychology. I can, be a mental health professional in the field, in our community, de-escalating these situations. Police doesn't need to be always involved. And that's it. We need action. We need accountability for these bodies that are, policing our communities. That's it.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Kevin Orange. Please go ahead with your comment, Kevin.
Oh, yes. I'm from the Westmont community, and Deshaun was a good friend of mine that I've been knowing since I seen grow up in that community. I am also part of the Westmont Community Task Force that does reside in that community. And I think that I call Westmont the Forgotten City. I mean, for the past 14 years, they have had a high capacity of homicides in that community that seem to go unnoticed. And so I thought I made it my business back in like 2014 to get our community out there. So this lady from the LA Times named Nicole Cruz came with me and got the information out there. Some people was upset about it, talking about it wasn't that bad in Westmont, but hell, if you grew up in there and you walk the streets, you know damn well it was bad over there. And so with Westmont Community Task Force, we got together as community members, stakeholders, and we was trying to build a relationship with law enforcement, with the sheriffs over there. But when the change came from McDonald to this new sheriff they have in place, all our conversations and communication seemed to get shut down. So we was on a good path, but now we back to square zero. And I'm also a part of the GRID program that the mayors have in the city. And you can see the resources and the relationship that we have with LAPD over there are totally different over here with the county, because LAPD is more transparent, open to sit down and talk with us, ask our views when things are going bad, asking the community, what can they do? Opposed to the sheriffs not asking nobody what they do. They're going to tell you what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. And we can no longer live the next 40, 50 years like this. So we got to get these healing circles around in our community so we can get our community to start healing each other, because we've been traumatized for so many years. So the trust is not there. And so we got little things that have been happening, but we got to look at it at a much larger scale. We need more unrestricted funding, because restricted funding keeps us from providing the correct services that we might need. So let's think about funding our community more and being more transparency.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Baba Akili. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yes, Black people are paying a heavy price to make the point of institutional racism. There are 4 conditions that Black people have to deal with: white supremacy, institutional racism, individual bigotry, and mass denial. And it's the last one, the mass denial, that allows the other 3 to exist. A.J. Weber, Anthony Vargas, Ryan Twyman, Andre Grado, and now Dijon Kizzee have all been killed by the sheriffs, and there's been no accountability, no action taken. We're calling for the names of the sheriffs that killed Dijon to be public and for them to be fired. We're calling for an independent investigation by the Attorney General, and we're calling for an end to qualified immunity. I'm not interested in building trust with the police. I want respect. I want them to respect Black lives. I want them to respect our humanity. I want them to respect us as people first. And we must end the culture of punishment and victim blaming, because it is that culture that allows the sheriff to operate with impunity, because they assume that we are gangsters first. They assume that we are criminals first. So we must end that culture of punishment and victim blaming. And finally, there has to be some form of accountability. The sheriffs cannot continue to kill us without accountability. We want justice for the family and police accountability. And the commission can at least support a resolution or a motion to call for an independent investigation by the Attorney General and to publish the names of the officers who were involved in the murder of Dijon Kizzee. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from R.S. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good afternoon, everyone. My comment is that three issues. First, the connection between the DA's office and the police department in general needs to be examined, and that has to be separated. And there seems to be there's an attempt to, like, if you eluding the police seems to be an invitation or a license to use lethal force when it comes to Black and brown people. And I would like to ask the committee to look into that and to the use of force practices of the sheriff's department and the police department as well. And also, there was a Harvard economist that has written about policing in America, and he's said that we can't really solve this problem because there is no statistics being taken when it, there's no statistics being recorded regarding when Black and brown people specifically are shot, and so we can't really get at the numbers. We can't really get the information. So I'm asking the committee to enforce the sheriff's department to begin to accumulate the data that we need in order to put forth policies and to understand what is actually happening in the policing of our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Linda Anderson. Please go ahead with your comment, Linda.
Hi. Yeah, well, I'm a member of the West Athens task force, and I do appreciate having this opportunity to be a part of this conversation. What I appreciate so much is the texture of what's going on with the intelligence of our community. And that's not being honored by those who are in positions to make a difference in our community. Through my naivety, I had no idea that there were gangs within, allegedly, let me say, gangs within the sheriff's department. And it's almost like a TV movie to even hear anything like that. And I wouldn't even, I think it's a disgrace to be able to even have that conversation if there's any small semblance of something like that actually going on. I don't know what the Civilian Oversight Commission's responsibility is in the big picture. And I've heard a bit of frustration coming from members of your commission, but I certainly hope that going forward, there is really going to be an opportunity for some major work to be done. You wake up in the morning and you're not sure what shoe's going to fall next or what's really going to happen, but it's really come very close to home. I mean, I honor you guys for what you're doing, but somebody's got to step up and be an adult in this and be able to look at what's going on in our community and in this nation. And it's got to stop. That's all I've got to say. It has got to stop.
Thank you. And our next comment will go back to Kayla Petrie. Please go ahead with your comment, Kayla.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you now. Please go ahead.
All right. First, I just wanted to voice my overall frustration with this meeting, particularly some of the problematic things that some of the people moderating it have been saying. Like, aside from the blatant virtue signaling, I just kind of wanted to call attention to the way that some of the speakers choose to pathologize racist policing as if it is some type of mental defect, completely ignores the structural components or the way that it's actually built into the system of policing. I'd also like to call out how ridiculous it sounds to say that we need to build trust with law enforcement in our community. You're asking victims of systemic violence perpetrated by this institution to get over that and build trust with what's frankly quite literally a gang. And not just any gang, a gang that uses violence against Black and brown bodies as a form of initiation. How are we supposed to build trust with that? I also want to echo what other speakers have been saying, that as far as like needing to bring about an actual independent investigation, because we know the DA is not going to do shit. We know that this oversight committee bullshit, whatever you are, aren't doing shit. What are you doing? I'm frustrated. Like, honestly, this is ridiculous. Thank you for wasting my fucking time. Fuck.
And the next comment will come from Q Jean Marie. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yes, good evening. Pastor Q, Church Without Walls, Skid Row, also with Clergy and Laity United for Economic Justice and Clergy for Black Lives. I'd like to say that in 1965, during the Watts Uprising, we talked about trust with police, right? We've got now in 2017, it's 52 years since the McCone Commission and 3,050 people being arrested and $40 million in damages with the Watts Uprising. 52 years. How much longer do we need to attempt to build trust with law enforcement before we realize it just will not work? The Police Protective League in 1981 said that less than 50% of Black folks approved of the job that law enforcement was doing. I would hate to take a survey now to see how much further that has declined. How can we move forward when there are gangs in law enforcement? What are we moving forward with? We don't even have a foundation to start with. We're hearing from folks that that Andres Guardado's murderer was probably a deputy gang member. How do we move forward? What are we going to do? How do we move forward with a flawed system? It is flawed by design. It's not even a broken clock. It can't even be right twice a day because the design is totally messed up. People are still dying. Guess what? We are here today. We were here in the same space with Anthony Weber. Guess what? We're going to have more dead bodies on our hands even after tonight. I'm so discouraged because I know we're going to have more dead bodies. There's going to be more blood seething into the concrete, more blood gushing out of the ground, more black and brown blood just to keep this system moving.
Thank you. And our next comment will come from Apollonia Solivan. Please go ahead with your comment, Apollonia.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Please go ahead.
Thank you. This is my third time speaking on town hall meetings. On the last one, Ms. Rubin stated that she had no idea how would anybody ever require a chokehold. White privilege apparently is true and lives. Mr. Williams, you seem to be the more awake and alert member of the committee. I'm so sad that the preacher first words coming into uniting community or advocating for neighborhoods was to flame the fire of racism by stating that we are being hunted. There are more white people nationwide killed by law enforcement than Black Americans. That's a fact. That was wrong from the preacher. I don't think that it's going to be fixed unless we really speak. It's not a racial issue, but a social economic issue and a lack of education, a breakdown in society that has been allowed by the teachers union at home, fatherless mothers with their children, and the preacher will serve best to address those concerns. It is sad that this committee focuses on the wrong thing and is not ready to truly let community be part of it, but almost like running crazy with the asylum. So I will continue, like a lot of people in our communities, to advocate, not for hate, not for destruction of our neighborhoods or our stores or our grocery stores, but to maybe educate our community on their rights and have a civilized conversation. And the sheriff needs a lot of work. I do agree with that. So maybe one day we could get together. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Alejandra Alvarez. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hi, yes, thank you so much. First of all, I want to just make a comment on how I'm hearing all these people, they have lost faith in LAPD and sheriff, and so have I. When I hear people get mad because we say defund the police, defund the sheriff, to me, it doesn't mean eliminate. To me, it means don't fund their equipment to seem like they were like a military agency, which they're not. They're supposed to be out here protecting us, the community, brown, black, white, anybody that needs help. They're here to protect us, and they're not doing that. Unfortunately, I live in an area where also a lot of LAPD is doing the same thing the sheriffs are doing in other communities. This past story that we heard about this young man just riding a bike being shot at, that is sad. And I really want to say, let's defund the police, let's defund the sheriff, let's start investing in our community, let's start investing in our youth so that they won't have that path to any kind of crime or anything like that. This is what we mean by defunding the police. Fund our programs for the youth, housing, homeless, instead of funding an organization that is out there to threaten us, to kill us, to not be what they say they have to do, protect and serve us. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Gilbert Johnson. Please go ahead with your comment.
Yes, my name is Gilbert Johnson with Community Coalition. And, you know, just for the sheriff not to have the decency to even join this space speaks volumes in itself. This continuously sends the message to my community here in South Central Los Angeles that they really don't give a damn, which Black and brown communities have known for decades. This has been a hard fact that we've had to deal with since the sheriffs were slave catchers, working to oppress and control and capitalize off of Black life. And this is why, myself and many of the folks I work with across South Central are not interested in building trust and relationships and all of that garbage with any law enforcement entities. I'm sure that the officers that lynched Brother Dijon Kizzy are on paid leave or vacation right now, while we're in the community hurting, crying, feeling deep pain and anger, mourning, trying to figure out ways to get this faulty bullshit system to respect and humanize our existence. We're holding prayer circles and vigils constantly to try to deal with all the struggles that systemic racism has imposed in our community. And we don't see building relationships with the sheriffs, the strategy to get us towards liberation and freedom. And so we call for an expedient, independent investigation, not one that's long and drawn out, like Mama Paula mentioned earlier, but one that actually leads to real accountability and justice. We call for an immediate resignation of Sheriff Villanueva. That's right, Villanueva, and an immediate reallocation of millions of dollars out of these oppressive budgets and into community-based violence reduction strategies such as youth education and development, gang prevention and intervention, sustainable housing, especially given the soon-to-come eviction waves because of the COVID-19 and the economic downturn. We need quality jobs and careers. We don't need law enforcement in our communities. And much love to the family of Dijon Kizzy. We're here for you. We got y'all backs, and we're going to keep fighting. Let's keep organizing, folks.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from George Tesoris. Please go ahead with your comment, George.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm new to Los Angeles. I've only been here for about 2 years, and I've never really participated in anything like this. But considering what's going on in the country, I think I'm just assuming I'm not alone in looking for outlets where people who want to contribute can go. And although this is a great way to channel a lot of that energy, speaking about the problems and hearing other folks, I do have to echo what some of the other commenters were saying about, questioning what is the role of this group and how is it actually efficating oversight. My first stop when I was like, I don't want to just start talking and not know what I'm talking about, so I went to look at your oversight responsibilities. And so much of it is done in conjunction with the sheriff, or it seems like it's unclear whether the sheriff gets final say on some of these reports, and a lot of it is just analysis. And I'm trying to figure out where can I go to do something? Where can we go to do something when people feel suddenly the urge to be effective in this and to do something that's not just, complain at a meeting or talk, or talk at a meeting. There's got to be some kind of glide path, some kind of way. Oh shoot, 7 seconds. And I look, you guys need to find a way to activate the community. We need to be effective. We can't just be talking all the time. And damn. All right, thanks for your time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Edward Costello. Please go ahead with your.
Good evening, and thank you, commissioners who are here. I'm an 81-year-old white guy who lives in a part of Los Angeles that is upscale and policed by the LAPD. But I'm mad as hell about all of this. And here's why I'm mad. First of all, the commission has been ignored successfully thus far, completely by the sheriff. Second of all, the sheriff's deputies union joining with other police unions, has killed in their crib any statewide legislation that might have helped the police do a better job. The young man who spoke before me, who's new to Los Angeles, let me tell you this. The supervisors have the power of the budget. The county supervisors have the power of the budget over the sheriff. The sheriff is an independent elected official. The last time out, he got the endorsement of the Democratic Party, and I voted for him. And I'll never pull the lever for him again. But the thing that all of you need to know is what the lady before our recent arrivee said, and that is you need to be able to do your job. This is wonderful stuff where we can all talk as long as we want, but the time is for action. So those of you who are listening, including the sheriff, call your supervisors, call all the supervisors, write them letters, tell them what you want. Tell them that you don't want somebody who violated the traffic laws on his bicycle to have a death penalty imposed on him by two supposed law enforcement officers. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Marika Omaseg. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hi, so my name is Maraki Alamseged, and the name of the young man who was shot is Dijon Kazi. He was murdered by the Sheriff's Department. What I want to know is, what are you as a commission doing to hold the Sheriff's Department accountable? What are you doing to heed the call of the community to defund the Sheriff's Department and to reimagine community-based public safety? To be honest, I'm not entirely sure what your community accomplishes for the community, but because I'm just not I don't know your history, but if you're meant to hold the Sheriff's Department accountable, then what is it that you are doing? Like Mr. Timothy Watkins said earlier, the collective sympathy I'm hearing from you is nice and all, but what are you doing about ending police brutality and ultimately abolishing a system that's fundamentally built to create empowered white supremacists? And so until these systems are abolished, like Baba Akili said earlier, we are demanding that the names of Dijon's killers be made public, for them to be fired and prosecuted, and for there to be a process of decertification for not only them, but all killer cops, until y'all can wake the fuck up and abolish the whole damn system. That's all I have to say. Black Lives Matter. Thank you very much.
And the next comment will come from Emma Sutton. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Dijon Kizzee was lynched by slave catchers. That's a fact. Dijon Kizzee was murdered by the LASD for riding a bike. Kyle Rittenhouse can walk through a crowd towards multiple police officers with a gigantic assault rifle and nothing happens to him. Racism that's been happening in the US for over 400 years couldn't be more overt than it is now. Dijon Kizzee was murdered by police gangs for riding a bike. There has to be accountability, and you have the power to make that accountability happen. You have to do something. You must investigate. You must find and release the names of those officers, and you must hold the LASD accountable. Even though it's obvious what's happening here, you have this responsibility. So please do something. Please show compassion and humanity to these communities that have been forgotten for so long. It's time to prioritize care, and it's time to invest in these communities. I cede the rest of my time.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Lynn Lyman. Please go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Lyman, and usually I'm on the policy side of this conversation. I'm the person behind the campaigns and the legislation, but tonight I'm calling in as a mother. As a mother of a 16-year-old Black child whose life I fear for every time she walks out the door. And I am so tired and so angry at seeing these young people killed in our streets day in and day out. And to the family of Dijon Kizzy, I am so sorry as a white person in this system and as someone who hasn't done enough. I will continue to fight in this system, but as a mother, we cannot go on this way. And I will remind the commissioners that under Government Code Section 12560, the Attorney General has direct supervision over the sheriffs in this state, and you can and should call for an independent investigation. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Roz Jones. Please go ahead with your comment, Roz.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Rosalind, and I'm a resident of Los Angeles. It's appalling and it's sickening that the Sheriff's Department has murdered another Black person in LA. Dijon Kizzy deserved to live and to thrive. His life mattered, and he was important beyond measurement. How many more names do there have to be before there is actual meaningful action taken? One name is far too many already. As I hear the COC members talk about what is needed in this moment, I can't help but think that the Civilian Oversight Commission for the Sheriff shouldn't have to exist. You exist because the Sheriff's Department is full of murderous people that are actively pursuing the killing of Black and brown folks in LA. Your job should be to make sure that you don't have a job anymore and that none of these murderers have a job anymore. My point is that the police and the sheriff have done nothing but brutalize and terrorize the Black community in this city. They don't protect and serve. They murder and then cover it up. Defunding and abolishing the police and the sheriff are the only pathway out of this. And I hope that you, as the board, have the guts and the backbone to see this through. I cede the rest of my time.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Reverend Najamubi Smith Pollard. Please go ahead with your comment. Can you please speak closer to the microphone?
Sure. Can you hear me now?
A little better.
Okay. My name is Reverend Najuma Smith Pollard, and my name is Reverend Najuma Smith Pollard. Thank you for taking my call. Like so many others, my sentiments are the same as relates to the murder of Dijon Kizzy and others, that we certainly need the Sheriff's Department to be greatly investigated. I do stand with the others in calling for the release of Sheriff Villanueva, because this is just really getting disgusting. And as a faith leader here in the Los Angeles area, it is very hard to ask of our congregants and community members to work with law enforcement, to work with our political leaders when in a great measure you all are not working with the people. And I know personally, and this is what I share with my community, is that we cannot, as a people, as a human beings, as humanity, get to the place where we say it's okay to shoot and kill someone because they ran from the police. That just can't ever be okay. That makes us less than human. And I really do pray and hope that the commission and those that are listening and watching, that you would dig deep into your humanity as you are reviewing all of the number of recommendations and demands and requests that have gone forth, that you would dig deep into your humanity and not just your politics and not just your special interests, but your humanity as we make decisions going forward. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you. And next we will hear from Adrian Dove. Please go ahead with your comment. Adrian Dove, please go ahead with your comment. Okay, hearing no one speaking to us. Viola, please go ahead with your comment.
Thank you so much. First off, I want to acknowledge Jennifer, who does an incredible job orchestrating these meetings and making sure that everybody who is diligently trying to get on is heard. I just appreciate that so much as someone who attends the police commission meetings where that is absolutely not the case. As an older white lady in this city, I'm at a loss for words. You know, the LAPD is the most murderous police department in the city, only followed by the sheriff's department in the same city. So in the most murderous state, California, we're living in the city county with the two most murderous law enforcement agencies. And unlike what a woman said much earlier today, she talked about white people being the most murdered by police. I don't know where she's getting her numbers, but I can tell you that is absolutely not correct. Certainly not for Los Angeles, but for the country as a whole, it's definitely not correct. And in Los Angeles, there are no white people killed. It is all people of color. And until we figure out that what we've got are slave catchers going after Black, brown, and indigenous folks on a daily basis with no accountability, I just don't know what we're going to do. So I'm going to ask you to do what I ask you to do every time I call, which is to starve the beast. The only way to stop this is to defund the sheriff. He has made it very clear that he answers to no one. He has not shown up to any of these meetings since the pandemic, since the People's Uprising. And now the people have voted for him to have accountability in the terms of subpoena power, and he doesn't answer to that either. He will not answer to anyone. So starve the beast, defund the sheriff, and invest in communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment will come from Peter Clune. Please with your comment.
Yeah, hi. I just sort of like to say that, you know, sort of echoing a bit what the last caller said, you know, you guys are in a difficult position. I understand, you know, your body is advisory in many ways, and sort of tasked with soliciting feedback and input and suggestions and sort of referring them up. But, you know, just this year, voters decided to give you subpoena power, and the sheriff has blatantly ignored that. And so, you know, in terms of sort of looking for ways that sort of this body specifically can act and act aggressively in, you know, taking the sheriff to court, enforce the powers that the people of the County of Los Angeles have given to you, take responsibility for those. You know, obviously, you guys are very limited, like I said, in what you can do, but in the ways that you can act aggressively and muscularly to support these goals of defunding the sheriff's department and, you know, reallocating those resources towards, you know, true community building and safety, you know, you can do that. Right now, you're waiting on a RAND study on deputy subgroups. You know, it's difficult to take you seriously if you can't say gangs. You know, if you're sitting there saying, well, these are subgroups, these are cliques, you know, if you can't call a spade, if you can't call an executioner, a bandito, you know, we're going to see Andres Guardado again and again. We're going to see people murdered in the streets of LA County, so that some deputy can get their ink, right? And right now we're waiting until 2021 in the winter to get that report. So I'd really ask this commission to look at the ways that they and that use the power that you have to aggressively affect this change.
And the next comment will come from Aparna Mugarchi. Please go ahead with your comment. Aparna, you're unmuted. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hi, I didn't actually realize I had gotten the confirmation because it didn't seem to be going through. Sorry about that. I think the question mark of what happens to this community response and how is it used and how do you actually connect with members of the community that aren't able to necessarily show up even in this virtual form.
The ideas that bubble up, I think, are exactly as several of the callers have mentioned. They are reflecting a sense of loss and disappointment and definite sort of lack of faith in systems. So the question mark when we're coming up on this ballot referendum in November, among many other actions that need to be taken, is how do you reinstitute trust in civic institutions? How do you find democracy building channels with trusted partners on the ground? And I think in part,
piece that I talked about is measuring your conviction.
yes.
So the conviction has to be the conviction of John.
I'm sorry, I think you cut off whoever was just speaking.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Please go ahead and continue.
Okay. Sorry, I thought that was someone from the commission making a comment on my comment. I think the question mark is not about transparency in terms of sunshine and transparency legislation around the Brown Act, for example, but really understanding on a practical level how you want community voice to be heard in productive ways. And I guess my biggest question is, many of the callers on this, as well as the other town hall partially overlapped with this, have some concrete ideas. And I think the bigger picture of listening, but then closing the loop is being lost in this. So I would love to know how that's happening and how we use these virtual fora in better ways to make that happen. Thanks.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Daryl Good. Ahead with your comment.
Okay. Let me unmute myself. Can you hear me?
We hear you right now. Please go ahead.
I'm Daryl Good. I'm branch president for the NAACP San Monica Venice, and the coalition of branch presidents for LA County have gotten together, and we're going to be approaching the Board of Supervisors. We're going to ask for the State Attorney General and any federal investigative agency to look at LAS. We were involved with the deputies and their collaboration in getting Palmdale residents kicked out of the Section 8 housing. We have a complaint against the Los Hills Sheriff Station. The Compton branch president and the mayor have been harassed by the LASD. So I'm not sure what your role as the oversight can do, but obviously with Tanaka and Baca, it's got a historic dysfunction. In the late 90s, the whole narcotics unit, LSD, was disbanded for drugs and tax evasion. So historically, it's corrupt all the way through. I've been in the city since the 50s. So we're going to be moving forward. So if there's anything that we can collaborate on, we would appreciate it. But it's about 12 branch presidents at NAACP will be moving towards renovating this board of supervisors for their egregious and unlawful behavior against people of color in the County of Los Angeles. That's more of a statement. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next comment from Alejandra Kaminsky. Please go ahead with your comment. Alexandra Kaminsky, please go ahead with your comment. Okay, hearing nothing, we'll move on to the next person. Michelle Infante, please go ahead with your comment.
Good afternoon. There is no transparency from LASD. LASD cannot investigate themselves. Murder after murder is being committed right here in our community, and they continue to investigate themselves. I wish that you would use your voice as a commission and go to the board and tell them that you have grave concerns over the sheriff's department taking hours, between 3 to 5 to 6 hours, to contact the LA County Coroner's Office to come out to a crime scene. It allows the department so much time to manipulate that crime scene, create a false narrative, and put that out in the community. And also, every single time they character assassinate the decedent. I would be curious if Mr. Huntsman could answer, how long did it take for his office to get to a crime scene? My next statement would be that in the future, I would hope that the commission would think about yielding some of their time to the community and allow them more than just to 2 minutes to speak about their real-time deaths occurring to their families in the community, violent deaths by the sheriff's department. These families have been coming to you for years and years and years complaining about retaliation, intimidation, and still these families have no support and nothing has changed from that department. You need to go to the county board of supervisors. Use your voice. That's what we fought for you for. That's what we want you to do. Don't sit back and have your hands tied. Don't give us your opinions. Go to the county board of supervisors and tell them your opinion about the sheriff's department. They're not transparent. They can't investigate themselves. They're killing our people and the community. Please, please use your voice, commissioners.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Joanne Russell. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good evening.
Good evening. Please go ahead.
I am pleased to see and hear the sentiments of so many people, but I, like them, it's time. It takes too long now to do all the things we've been doing for the last 52 years, trying to do policies, be our buddy. Can we do something to match the emergency that exists? Can we call for an emergency moratorium on the police? And you guys ask the community to do whatever we need to support you, because the longer we wait, another person will be killed. The rate of killing Black people, and they've added brown people, has raised exponentially since we started this. We are facing people who refuse to even acknowledge that this is happening. You know, not that it's something bad, but even to go as far as to acknowledge it. And it's coming from the top, which means our president. I implore people to actually look up the terms racism and racist. They don't mean exactly what you think they are. They are more systematic ways of doing what you want to do to people because you don't think they deserve to have what you have or better. It's as simple as that. So what can we do to support you in calling for an emergency moratorium where the police officers are taken out of duty immediately and there is an investigation within 10 days? It doesn't take that long. And it is a front to walk around and keep allowing it to happen. Do you have that authority, and what can we do to help you make this happen? I keep coming back to the phrase, we the people. Just like our election year, we the people have to really stand up here and say, no, enough of all this is enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we move on to the next comment, for those public members who have joined us, please, if you have not been called on yet, but you would like to provide public comment, either raise your hand in the participant window or send a chat to the host. And our next comment will come from Sandra Thomas. Please go ahead with your comment, Sandra.
Good evening. I'm Sandra Thomas, and I am on the Los Angeles County Human Relations Commission. I've sat and I've listened to all of the outcry. I mean, just your gut-wrenching outcry from our community. And I feel like maybe these two commissions, since they're so closely entwined, we need to get together. And I think we're kind of walking over each other, and we need to get together and try to get something done. Okay, so the laws didn't pass the first time. Then what happened? Nothing. And I'm talking to myself as well as I'm talking to you. So we cannot, and we will not just sit idly by. You know, everybody's waiting. No, not everyone. There are people that are waiting, saying, oh, this will die down. It'll always die down. Everybody will get tired. No, we cannot let that happen. And we cannot work the young people to death while we sit in a room and talk. We need to do something. We need to make some changes. I know it sounds idle to people on the line, but there are things that can be done. And the commissioners know what I'm talking about. Maybe we all need to go together. Maybe we need to get together. And then maybe we need to go and maybe bring the NAACP, whoever, and then we need to go and talk to all of the supervisors and make the demands that the community's asking for. You know, it's the community that we're supposed to be serving. And so I think that we need to go and to the Board of Supervisors, to all of them, not one or two, to all of them, and make the demands answer to the outcry of our community. And that's all I have to say, because I am just totally stressed at the number of black killings and black and brown killings that we've had. It's just unconscionable. That's my statement. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Louis Watanabe. Please your comment.
Thank you very much. So, you know, I don't have to tell you about all the news reports from the sheriff's department. I mean, it's a disgrace, and quite frankly, it's gotten worse. And so I know that we need to do something about this, and quite frankly, I'm not sure exactly what to do, but I look to the commission to help set the tone, I guess. And as a member of the St. Monica Catholic community, you know, is that what we see is violence and other things that are really very counter to Christian faith. And so I know that you know, as an 8,000 household parish, that we would be happy to give support to something that would be a solution to protecting our communities. So anyway, I thank you very much for sitting in the hot seat. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Andres Kwan. Please go ahead with your comment.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay, Andres Kwan, ACLU. I just got to ask, what will you do? What are you going to do? The sheriff's department discussed me, but honestly, you're not that far away. And I'll just be honest, right now, and all the way up until now, you've effectively enabled the sheriff and his killer goons, his tattooed gang members lynching Dijon Kissy, executing Andres Guardado on his knees to initiate into the so-called executioners. I am sick and tired of you holding these symbolic town halls where you make community folks blow off steam, but you do nothing. Absolutely nothing. And what will you do to get transparency, accountability, and justice for Dijon and his family? What will you do to protect his family from the harassment that already started the very night they killed Dijon and will only intensify? We brought this issue to you last October, almost a year ago, about sheriff deputies systematically harassing Ryan Twyman's family, Anthony Vargas's family, Paul Reyes' family. And what did you do? Give 2 minutes to the families to speak? Pass a nice resolution? Ask the sheriff nicely to report back about the harassment? And then what? Sheriff flicked you off and nothing. You did absolutely nothing. And you know what? Sheriffs are still harassing the families. For example, just following Paul Reyes' 14-year-old sister and handcuffing her to intimidate her. So enough listening. What else do you need to hear? And how many more will have to be killed? Pastor Q said, sheriffs will kill again. Mama Paula said, sheriffs killed almost 10 people since George Floyd's murder. They cannot help themselves, even when the whole world is watching. In fact, they don't want to, because they haven't needed to, because you're doing effectively nothing to hold them accountable, and because you will continue to do nothing. I dare you to prove me wrong. Right now, in this historic moment, there is a clear line and you can be on the wrong side or on the right side of history. Now, unless you wake up and go above and beyond your politicking,
Thank
you will
you.
be on the wrong side. Prove me wrong.
Thank you. Next comment will come from Joseph Mazelich. Please go ahead with your comment.
Hello, commissioners and Director Williams, Inspector General, and Pastor Johnson. I'm so impressed listening to people from the very neighborhood where this latest, I don't know if we should call it tragedy or atrocity occurred, and speaking about the experiences of their neighborhood, as well as all of us of the neighborhood of the county. It would be a good idea, I think, for you to explain the limits and the authorities that the commission has. I believe that would benefit some of the public. But of course, the sense of urgency is going to come through anyway, and it should. I'd like you to use the maximum not only of the authority that you specifically have, but to be able to speak out more, speak out about the needs that, well, there several centuries have stacked up in this situation. I don't say that to exonerate anybody in the present or accuse anybody. I'm just saying that it looks to me like when a police officer is dealing with an African-American person, that whole weight of guilt and terror that's been imposed on the African-American community for centuries seems to be standing there before them. And maybe officers are just set to be afraid of this oppressed community striking back against them. And so they automatically fear for their lives. Of course, when Mr. Kizzy feared for his life and ran, the fact that he was fearing for his life and running did not save him from a consequence. Of course, shouldn't save the officers from the proper consequences of whatever choice of action. If you can call it a choice, maybe it's just a reflex. I think what we need is week after week of steady meeting each other, officers and community. I know many community members won't want to meet with the officers, but somebody's got to bridge that gap and do it with heart. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. And the next comment will come from Katie Askew. Please go ahead with your comment, Katie.
Hi, I'm making my first public comment ever, but the pain I feel from watching one Black or brown person after the next get murdered is starting to feel like a cumulative trauma that I can't escape, especially being the mom of 3 Black sons. I'm making a comment as a terrified, angry mother, and I am trying to understand why any profession, like my profession as a doctor, that has the power to take life is not held to the highest standards. Any profession, like sheriffs, that relies on the trust from the people and has the power to take life has to be held to the highest standards. To get community trust, we need to have transparent accountability. The same rules of professional accountability that apply to physicians should apply to the sheriffs, to the police. If a doctor makes a mistake purposely, negligently, or by accident, this is made public on the California Medical Board's website. Why isn't this transparency available to the public regarding sheriffs and police? If we practice outside of medical standards, we can even be tried criminally. It seems that the police and sheriffs are protected from this. The training involved when life is in your hands needs to be thorough, and the accountability for mistakes needs to be transparent and significant. Imagine if the police officers and the sheriffs were held to the same standards as the physicians in this community. Or imagine if the physicians in this community were not held to the same standards that they are and they were treated as the police and sheriffs. Imagine what our healthcare system would be like. I am just hoping that you do whatever you can to pressure this system to hold police officers accountable when they make egregious mistakes. That's it.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Susan Bradshaw. Please go ahead with your comment, Susan.
Good afternoon. My name is Susan Bradshaw. I was born and raised in Los Angeles, and my family has been dealing with death by a police officer for more than 100 years. My uncle was shot in Alabama in the head behind his back by a police officer who swore my uncle pulled a gun on him, but he had not. My family got legal representation, still nothing happened. And I just see the same problem recurring over and over and over again. And I feel there needs to be a complete overhaul of the police system, from the way they hire, the way they fire, their protocols, their training. And I believe this needs to be done with input and oversight from the community members that they serve. In addition, I believe they need to assess and monitor the police officers for their outcomes. For those officers who do good, then maybe they'll be rewarded. And for those who are not acceptable to the community, they need intervention or more training, or they need to be fired. And I feel as though the community has to be involved in the entire process. Additionally, I feel that monies from the Sheriff's Department should go towards community organizations so they can help heal the community in terms of their health, wealth, education, and safety. And thank you.
Thank you. And the next comment will come from Pamela Thornton. Please go ahead with your comment, Pamela. Pamela, you're unmuted. Please go ahead with your comment. Okay, hearing nothing, we'll move to Alexandra Kaminsky. Please go ahead with your comment. Alexandra.
Hi, thank you. Good evening to the commission, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak and be able to share some thoughts. I think, like many of the people who spoke before me, I continue to be shocked by events that continue to happen with seemingly no recourse. My concern is something I think that is shared across communities, and I don't think it's unique to the Sheriff's Department. I'm concerned that it goes across government entities, and it's the lack of transparency and accountability across agencies. Our supervisors have created this board, but yet where is their support for your recommendations and your work? Where are other entities that can help hold people accountable the same way that we as normal citizens are held accountable for simple things, like when we break a law and have to pay a traffic ticket? I'm also concerned that certain law enforcement can serve as judge, jury, and executioner. That should never be the case, and it's a very dangerous situation that has been occurring for far too long. And I think the accountability piece needs to be stressed. I also am concerned that perhaps some resources need to be allocated to investigating government bodies for corruption, much in the same way there are investigations taking place into organized crime and gangs, looking for the reasons why people are not held accountable. Who is protecting them? I don't believe that the situation is unique to the Sheriff's Department, and I believe it goes much bigger and larger than that. And until those steps are taken, I don't think we're going to see an end to this. And this is going to be a continued conversation. And like my fellow community members, I think we're tired of talking. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And as a last reminder for any of the public who would like to make a comment, please raise your hand in the participant window or send a chat to the host. Otherwise, our last public comment will be from Tiffany Malafi. Please go ahead with your comment. Tiffany Malafi, you are unmuted. Please your comment.
Sorry about that. All I really want to say is what I've heard a lot throughout tonight has been everyone saying that they want to see less money going towards the police and more money going towards other resources that greater benefit the community. And I think in light of someone writing the their bike allegedly the wrong way and then getting shot almost 30 times, that it's clear that we need to start treating the police department like we've been treating failing public schools all this time and take money away until they do a better job. Especially since, I see people riding their bikes the wrong way in my neighborhood all the time with cops just driving on by like it's nothing. It's clear that it was more than just, oh, you're riding your bike. You're violating a code, which is just an infraction. Come on. Let's get real and let's start taking away their money until they learn how to play with the big kids. Thank you.
Thank you. And we do have a few more public comments rolling in. Michael Dalton, please go ahead with your comment.
Thank you so much for allowing me to make a couple of comments. Just for thought, well, not just for thought, there's so many things. Obviously, we're going to have law enforcement. There's no question about that. One of the things the community needs access to is the screening and hiring of police officers. I've been a city commissioner, I've been a county commissioner, I've sat on panels, community panels, and done the initial interviews for law enforcement officers in the city of Los Angeles. I think what the public doesn't realize, well, certainly they don't realize if they haven't done it, the number of officers who come to Los Angeles because they're looking for action. It was surprising more than I ever believed that on 77th Street Station, we'd find officers who came in for a Wednesday night interview who drove from Idaho, who drove from Utah, who drove across country. And their initial interview was because there wasn't enough going on in their community. And they wanted to come to Los Angeles where the action is. I was on that panel and I had the opportunity to say no. But I'm also thinking about all the panels where there was not someone there who had the opportunity to say no. With that said, we have what we have today and we'll have what we have in the future. And one of the ways to look at our future officers is to take an active role in the very beginning. Thank you.
Thank you. And our last public comment will come from Genevieve Claverall. Please go ahead with your comment, Genevieve. Genevieve, you're unmuted, but I cannot hear you. It appears that Genevieve's audio isn't working. Genevieve, if you'd like to stay on after the WebEx, we can do some troubleshooting to make sure that this works for next time around. Otherwise, Lael, that does conclude the public comments.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you all very much. Before some final remarks, I do want to give our Inspector General a brief opportunity to try and talk about what he does. It would be instructive, I think, to talk about when you were at the horrific scene where Mr. Kissy was in the middle of the street for as long as he was, and what are your thoughts about an independent investigation? That's kind of a lot to talk in a short amount of time, but it would be helpful for you to talk about that and what you are doing in terms of investigating this horrible killing.
My staff went out to the shooting. We left about an hour after the shooting, so I know that the notification process happened quickly for us. I can't speak for the coroner. My staff was there. In all shootings, we're given a walkthrough of the scene and told something about what the investigation has learned at that time. Unfortunately, that used to be the beginning of our ability to monitor the Sheriff's Department. And in the last year and a half, it has become the end. We have since asked for additional documentation so that we could monitor us as we go along. For instance, in the Guardado investigation, where video evidence was critical, we asked to receive copies of the video evidence when the Sheriff's Department got it, so that we would be able to tell the community later that nothing was tampered with, and that the process was open and transparent, at least with respect to another government agency. But they refused. And in this case, they refused as well. We asked specifically that they include us at the autopsy. I was concerned when we didn't hear back from them, so I called the coroner myself. And the coroner told me that, or emailed him, and he told me that the autopsy would be over in an hour. The Sheriff's Department had gone ahead down to the autopsy, had it scheduled, and been present without telling us. They have refused any kind of investigation. I won't bore you with the long list. This commission's heard it before. Those who are here at this town hall and have been to other meetings have heard me go on endlessly about the ways in which the Sheriff's Department does not follow the laws that we currently have on the books. But for those of you who just got here, trust me, imagine that I went on for 15 minutes or half an hour, and I easily could, about the ways in which the various laws that your legislators, your Board of Supervisors have passed to try to have independent investigations have been completely ignored by the Sheriff's Department. I don't offer that as an excuse. I offer it as so you can understand the nature of the problem we're facing now. Just on Tuesday, the board passed a resolution to seek legal action with respect to trying to force that kind of external investigation. The Attorney General's office hasn't responded that I'm aware of to those requests. The district attorney has instituted no grand juries to look into deputy gangs that I'm aware of. So this board has indeed recommended such an external investigations, which is something some people commenting mentioned. They certainly have done that. But that's basically the state of it. There is no external investigation or even external monitoring to have somebody in the room who isn't a deputy sheriff to make sure that things are being done the way the Sheriff's Department represents, which I think is an absolute minimum requirement for government to be doing its job properly and for democracy to really have an effect. If we pass laws, but law enforcement can do what they want and not follow the laws that they choose, we're not a democracy. So I'm sorry to say that.
Yeah, just quickly, I know that the Attorney General can make a determination whether he's going to take over an investigation, whether he's going to participate in an investigation. What has been, I know you made reference to the board, but what has been your experience regarding trying to get the Attorney General to jump into this, and not only this, but other investigations?
Multiple local officials have made the request. Nothing has come of it. That's all I can't comment other than what you heard from the public, that in fact there is a code section that says the Attorney General supervises all law enforcement in the state. The Attorney General has the authority to begin actions to remove an elected official under the government code if they don't comply with the law. The Attorney General has the authority to issue written opinions as to what the law is. In other words, the legitimacy of the government code that allows civilian oversight in Los Angeles, that, by the way, was approved by informed as to subpoenas by the voters 72% in March, and just recently by the state Senate and Assembly in passing amendments to strengthen that law. The Attorney General could write opinions about that have almost the same precedential value as court opinions, and which might cause the sheriff to comply, and they might not. I'm not aware of any of that happening.
We're getting to the end of our allotted time, but I would like to ask Pastor Johnson if he has any final remarks he'd like to make. You have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go. There you go.
Yes. Just as a final remark, brother-in-law who is a high-ranking police official in another state, and he has a statement that stays with me with respect to what happens on the streets. And what he says is that the streets are not a courtroom. Law enforcement does not have the authority to be the judge, jury, and executioner on the streets. And my concern is, and my hope is, that we can find a way we can address that so that we do not have decisions being made as to who should live, who should die by police officers, law enforcement officials on the streets, whatever that takes, whatever it takes. And I definitely want to be a part of an ongoing conversation with respect to addressing this concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pastor Johnson, for your words, as I mentioned at the outset. And we certainly look forward to continuing to be involved with you. And if whatever assistance you can provide or thought or connection to the community, we welcome that. We are about, I know we could go on for quite a long time and talk about this horrific tragedy, this horrific killing. I hope that the Kizzy family knows that this commission is very concerned. Our hearts go out to them, and any way that we could support them, we would certainly want to do that. We are at the end of our allotted time. I want to thank everybody for their comments, for their heartfelt comments. There were many things that were said tonight that I think will give us many things to think about. I think that the suggestion about partnering with the County Human Relations Commission is an excellent suggestion, although there were many others. Our next commission meeting is Thursday, September the 17th, a long meeting from 9 to 1. We hope you can all join us, and please stay involved. Your voice and your opinion does make a difference, encourages us to stick with this and do the work. And want to thank you again for participating. So good evening to everybody, and please stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you have any technical questions or issues of being able to speak, you can always shoot me an email or give me a call, preferably before the event starts. So I feel like we may have lost the folks that I was going to stay on to assist.